Hey, it's your host, Brittany, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity podcast, where we talk all things life, health, fitness, kids, relationships, you name it, nothing is off the table. A little bit of just me and a whole lot of knowledgeable guests. So throw on your Lulus to run or to mom, grab yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and join us as we unpack life's pressing topics and learn a little bit more of the who, what, whys of it all. Or at the very least, get real, share some wisdom, and grab practical tips to help in our daily lives.
Mental health is real, and
just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
It's so real, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel this. It's just a matter of finding your way out of it and not letting it suck you into an unhealthy situation.
Well, thanks for coming on and chatting.
Of course.
Today.
Thank you for asking me.
And it gave us kind of this opportunity to catch up, and then the opportunity to be able to just chat and fill in on life experiences, because I don't know, we had no idea as to the struggles and everything that Ty was going through. And then my first thought was you, because that's the situation that I was in, and it's very lonely to be in.
It is. Yeah. Thank you. Oh my goodness. It is. And it was so nice to hear from you, because honest to God, Brittany, you're the only one. It's such a journey where you kind of just have to let your partner drive for the most part, to not, as you know, cause more stress, or you have to almost plant ideas so then they come up with it on their own. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In a hugely roundabout way. And I think that talking, and, I know he talked to his dad and his brother has been a humongous help, and Jaron. And I think that he got sort of the help that he needed. Well, I say that
he
with
had
a
people
huge asterisk.
Yeah,
he had a couple. And, Brittany, it's so sad, because as he opened up with a couple of his buddies, once the wound wasn't so raw, he was able to be like, yeah, no, I'm not coming back to work. This is sort of what happened, nutshell version. And his friends or people would say oh, yeah, no, I deal with stuff like that too. That's really too bad. I'm sorry you're struggling. And Ty's like, what? Are you kidding me? I suffered in silence for so long. And he could have, all it would have taken is a buddy to say hey man, what's up? Let's talk. And, that's a really sad thing that I don't think we realize as women, that is so closed off, because I go out with my girlfriends and I spill the beans on everything, and they spill the beans on everything. And the night with such a feeling, you know what I mean? So I think, the guys, they get home from work and they're so tired, and they're just doing the husband and the dad thing. And they don't make time for themselves as we do, because we're the moms and we stay home and then we go out.
Yeah. And I find Ryan for sure is not the planner, right? He's always oh, well, you're out with your girlfriends again, or well, you guys are doing this great, pre-COVID, going away for the weekend or doing things like that. And I'm yeah, you can plan that too.
You have all the same people and, everything the same. You can just pick up the phone and plan it. Oh, and, there are so many times I said, Ty, phone your buddy, go camping. I don't know what you're going to do. Have a weekend, go do it. He's no, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll do that. And then it never happens. And I think that is such a huge thing that I think that if people just did, it would help a lot.
I think maybe if we can give context to our conversation as we dive into things.
Sure.
I'm here obviously with Hayley, and Hayley is extended family. I will say Hayley is married to my husband's cousin. So 2019, I went through a journey with Ryan through mental health and anxiety. And as of late, I was, put into the know of Hayley and Ty going through a bit of a world themselves here. And so I thought it would be a great, honest conversation to have Hayley on here and just chat as we are currently, but also to put a bit of context into the other side of mental health. And you're not alone, no matter who you are. As you go through it, other people, there are so many people around you that deal with mental health. I honestly believe that at some point through life, all of us are walking on some level of mental health.
Yeah.
However, we're discussing a bit of our story through watching our husbands struggle and how that affected our world and how we wanted to be there for them and sometimes couldn't, I guess we should say.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, thank you again for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's so nice.
So are you able to give some context maybe to either Ty's journey or at least to your journey as you saw the world kind of as you knew it in one point start to unfold?
It was a pretty difficult few months there over the summer, and with COVID being on top of it, I think magnified every situation. But just real quick, Ty had a medical emergency at work that was caused from stress, and he was hauled off to the hospital, lights and sirens, thinking it was a heart attack. And unfortunately, I was on my way to the hospital with the girls. I had gone to his work. They had called me and said, like, hey, Ty's not feeling well. Do you mind coming to pick him up? And I had the girls in the car. We were headed to the beach. And I said, yeah, I'm right around the corner. I'll be right there. And I knew something was up because why would somebody call me from his cell phone if he's just not feeling well? Like, what is that? So I left the girls in the car and I ran up to his office, and there he was on his side, unconscious at work. And first aid was there. You know, they were trying to get him to drink a juice box in and out of consciousness. And I was like, what the heck is going, like, what? Okay, so an ambulance is on the way. So I was like, okay, babe, I'll meet you at the hospital. Like, don't worry. So I get in the car and the ambulance pulled up, and the girls are like, Mom, what's that ambulance doing here? Is Dad okay? I thought we were picking him up. And I said, totally fine, but don't worry, but that ambulance is for Dad. He's really not feeling well. And because he's at work, they have to call an ambulance for legal reasons, but he's totally fine. And I was just trying to like bring it down. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And we go to the hospital, and I locked eyes with the paramedic as we were pulling out of the parking lot. And we were just driving along Victoria to the hospital, and what comes up behind me is lights and sirens, the same paramedic, the whole thing flying past me. Like, to have to pull over for the ambulance that your husband's in is something I never want anybody. I wouldn't wish on anybody, especially with your kids in the car and you can't like totally freak out. Gosh, it was horrible, Brittany. And I was just trying to like keep it together. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. Like, it was really scary though. And I walked over, and I had Ty's, when I was at his office, I grabbed his cell phone and grabbed his wallet, like anything that I could grab for him. I don't know. Okay. And so I find, and it's COVID also, so we're not allowed in the hospital unless it's you on the stretcher also. So I wait outside the hospital and see the paramedic come out. And like a crazy person, I ran over. I was like, hey, can you tell me anything? Like, you just brought my husband. And he's like, oh yeah, he's pretty sick. And I was like, okay, that doesn't help, but great. Thanks for bringing him here. And
what does that mean?
Where is he? Like, I have his care card here. Probably need this. He's like, no, got it all. Don't worry. I was like, okay. And then I phoned the hospital, and they're like, he's still like in emergency. He's been admitted. And I was like, what the hell? He's been here for like 10 minutes. What is happening? Honest to God. And all I knew I just needed to get a cell phone to him so I could, whatever. So I went up and totally annoyed the nurse at the front. It just was so annoying.
I'm sure
she probably hated me in that moment, but oh my God. And anyway, he got his cell phone. It took a while, and then he called me and he told me that what happened is he essentially, we don't really know. It was like a blood flow, heart stress, low blood sugar, like just a total hurricane of stuff that just brought him down. And that was that. So he had to do all these tests. He was at the hospital for the whole day, and he had blood tests and ECGs and brainwave things, and then he had to wear a Holter monitor, and it was just like, what is this? Like, what is happening? And, you know, as I'm sure you know, Brittany, like, exercise and eating properly is like the number one thing you can do for anxiety. But throw stress in there, you don't want to eat properly. You can't eat probably. You just want to sit on the couch and watch movies. Like, there's not much you want to do. So together, it makes this really horrible situation that ends really badly.
And as they say, right, like, stress is the silent killer. Like,
yes,
the amount of stress that can wreak havoc on your health
it's
is
scary.
Crazy. And for most people, you don't get to that point of realizing how stressed you are until there's a terrible situation.
Exactly. And, you know, after this, I saw, like, take a break before you do. You know, it just shows, like, really, if he had maybe taken some holidays or taken some time or just recognized in himself, like, I'm going through something, I need to step back for a while and you know, get myself sorted out and be able to look at this with fresh eyes, maybe things would have been different. But in this scenario, it wasn't, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a really scary time. And him coming home from the hospital was difficult for me because, I mean, me, it's not really about me, but
it's about all
because
of you. You're a unit.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But because he looked fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had lost a ton of weight, and yeah, he didn't look like himself, but he wasn't in a cast and he wasn't on painkillers, like, but he looked fine. And it was a really difficult few weeks, I guess, after he got out of the hospital. He was on leave from work, like, he didn't have to worry about that. Everything was sort of taken care of at home. Middle of the summer, so, like, no school, like, it was, and I had lost my job, so we were really just at home. But it was difficult to remember, like, hey babe, do you want to come to the beach? Do you want to go do something? You want to, you know, go up island? You want to do anything? And he goes, like, no, I don't. No, you have fun. And I'm like, and I kept having to check myself, like, okay, you wouldn't be saying this if you had a broken leg. You wouldn't be feeling this way, like, if this was a visible illness. It's just go out with yourself, like, leave them alone, stop being so annoying. And that actually took a little while for me to, you know, kind of get used to the idea that, like, he is healing in a sense, even though I couldn't really relate to what was happening. Like, I do not suffer from the same thing, fortunately. And I have a really easy way of flipping the switch and just forgetting about it and moving on. And I know I'm super fortunate with that. So it took me a little bit to realize this is serious. He needs time. Leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being so fucking annoying. He doesn't want to go to the beach. Okay.
So he was more wanting to stay home, be in his environment of where he felt comfortable and safe.
Exactly. He just wanted to be home with us. Yeah, we got him out, like, quite a few times after like, this is just like the first few days after the hospital, you know, he was really at home. He just wanted to be at home. He probably really wanted to go to Vancouver, but he couldn't because the ferries were shut down at this point. And it was really hard. And we just sort of had to hang out and just, you know, just be there. And that's hard to do when you can't see something, you know. It's like, am I doing this right?
Totally. And for both of you, like, I guess at the beginning, not knowing what was wrong, what was happening, to how to get through that, and then realize, like, okay, well, how do I support him? And for him, what do I actually need? And, like, you know, is there what is wrong with me? Well, no, there's nothing's wrong with you, but, like, how do you start to make yourself feel better?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, all I wanted to do was just fix him. And I thought, we'll order dinner from your favorite place. That's not going to do anything, Hayley. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not going through a breakup. Like, I'm having a problem. You know, it's like, have a bath, doing all the things that make me feel better when I'm, upset or something. I just could not wrap my head around what was happening, and that made it really difficult. But I got there. I did, and happy to say he's well on his way now, which is great. But
so what did at the end, like, did the hospital come back saying, stress, anxiety attack, like, and it
was a anxiety attack mixed with low blood sugar because he wasn't eating and he was being like throwing up every morning and just not taking care of himself. So when he had like this super stressful thing happen at work, and he stood up from his desk and he basically hit the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was just like this, so many different little things that just turned into one big thing.
Episode of
and not to mention like being like at work and having to be stretchered out in front of all of your colleagues, and like that's hard. I don't care who you are, that is a hard thing to deal with.
And then to watch your husband, who's usually such a pillar of support, and just doing it and like getting out there every day, and you don't have to worry about that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, like no, we're not unbreakable.
Exactly. And that was a pretty hard pill to swallow, I'll be honest. It was, once I realized that this wasn't like a weekend illness, like if that sounds horrible, I'm sorry. No. Once I realized, and he said, like, he's like, I can't go back to work. Like I'm not doing that. Like, I'd rather be alive than have the money. Like, stop. And I was like, yeah, I get that. Like, that's totally fine. First I said, are you sure? And then, I said,
you're like, holy shit. Okay.
Holy shit. Okay. So once like that whole conversation happened, I got totally on board. I said to you earlier, we really wanted to come up island and have the girls start school up here in September. And our lease was up at our townhouse. And so all these things, and now I didn't have a job and he wasn't working. So we're like, why not? Like, what are we doing here in Victoria? Like, there's nothing for us here. We each had a couple of friends, but like, not really. Yeah. So like, we're like, fuck it. Like, let's just go. And it was really on a whim decision, which was terrifying. Like, my whole summer was terrifying with experiences. Like, I couldn't see a week in the future at all. It was, terrifying, but so exciting to try and get out of like the mundane work stress life and move into a place where we love, and there's endless trails and beach and lakes and rivers nearby, and they're not packed with 30,000 people like in Victoria. like there's so much excitement around that. And having ties, I don't know what to call it, emergency, and just leaving it behind us in a way, right? It was so exciting, but it was so terrifying, Brittany. Like, I could not, like, we were really just going one day at a time, 1 week at a time. Yeah, no, it was just so good. And having a sense of like, just completely restart. And there's that Chris Stapleton song that came out the exact week that the shit was going down. Lucky Penny, 4-Leaf Clover, that song.
I love that song. Yeah.
And it just completely, let's beat the storm and be on our way. Like, let's just leave this town, whatever. Yeah. It was so perfect. And moving here really has been a huge blessing for us. Talk about taking such a shit situation and just a world crumbling thing that happened to us, and we just flipped it, and just really, it has been so nice. The outcome has been great.
Yeah. I'm sure that was kind of your paradigm shift, as he said he wasn't going back to work. Then your sudden reality is like, okay, so what are we going to do? And here we go.
Here we go. Like, yeah, that was that was a pretty scary moment. When he said that, and that was for sure not happening, I remember thinking, like, okay, like that's fine, but I'm not going to be able to get a job that pays as much. I haven't been working on my career the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been at home with the kids. All I can do is work evenings and weekends and be a waitress or work at London Drugs. Like I had this idea of myself that I wasn't going to do anything, which is bullshit. And
not that you're not doing anything every day regularly.
Well, yes, but I was so mad at myself, for lack of a better term, putting all of my eggs in someone else's basket.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean.
I was just
we all struggle with that at some point when you decide to be at home with the kids and you're always wanting more. And when you're faced with this kind of a reality where you're trying to be the other side of it, helping your spouse, but knowing that they are not capable of all things at the moment and you have to be all things.
Yeah.
How do you step yourself through that?
It was a pretty stark realization. And, I had been seeing some friends going through divorce, and not that that's happening, but in two different scenarios, I saw one be completely ruined, like because she's been at home with their kids and now she has no career and they had to sell the house and now blah, 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 all the things. But then I had another friend get divorced and they were looking at a house to buy and then they got divorced. But then she bought the fucking house anyway by herself. And I was like, what? What? Oh my gosh. And I was so proud of her for that. Like, I just thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. And she's like, well, fuck that. I bought it myself. I was like, that is so cool. But anyway, I was mad at myself for putting myself third, I guess. Kids, and then Ty, and then me. And I would work around the kids, but it was still me for Prody days. It was still me for summer break, like all of the things that is so hard as a parent and with school age and younger children. There's really no balance. There's full-time daycare or a part-time job. Like there's not an in-between. So the panic was, well, no, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could work. Like, what am I going to do with myself? Ugh. But then this job posting came up and I did truthfully, this is the most surprising part, truthfully hit all the requirements for this job. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like that's
not surprising. You're selling yourself way too short.
I sell myself way too short all the time. This was like one of the first realizations of don't sell yourself short, because without going too much into it, I got that job and I was so proud of myself. And it's a great job and it's great money and it's great benefits, like my own benefits. And I'm finally for the first time since having kids, I'm able to buy dinner and take us to the movies if we could.
If we could.
If we could. But no, I am really annoyingly able to look at the bright side of things. And if I was a different kind of person, I think that this whole scenario could be, a deal breaker. It could be a sob story. It could be all the negative things. But I truthfully think it's been an incredible experience and a shift in our reality, which I think is needed sometimes, just a complete shakeup of the norm. Because truthfully, Brittany, I've really enjoyed going to work every day and I really enjoy my job. And Ty really enjoys taking the kids to school, and he has never gotten to do that before. Making the lunches every day, doing the parent-teacher conferences, all of the things that are normal in my life, he's never had to do. He's never had to run clothes to school because one fell in the mud. Like, that's not something that dads generally get to do. And I have never, flight followed before, but like, it's so much, it's been a really, really great experience in our relationship to see what the other person has been doing the last 10 years. And I think we each have like this renewed respect for each other of like, wow, Hayley, like you really didn't just sit at home all day. Like you're busy. And
oh my gosh,
wow,
you're like hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, babe, like I'm sorry that like you missed out on this, that, and the other thing. And I'm really sorry that I've, asked you to do all this stuff after work. Like, I don't really want to do that. Like, I'm like, this whole like renewed sense of what the other person's going through has been really great.
Mm-hmm. I think you totally like hit a string with me there. When Ryan was going through his hard year, just his realities of what actually happened in a day. He said afterwards, when he was able to vocalize that, like how grateful and thankful he was for all that I do in a day. And he never really recognized that before because he was never around to see it. But also taking another detour from that is making sure that we all find our own time for ourselves. And I think through that year, I realized that I do a lot of things, but I have always wanted something more for myself. Whether that is going to provide an income or not is something different. It's making sure that you have something that enlightens you. And for him, he worked on himself so hard through that year to make sure that he could be better, be more aware. And he has come out a completely different person. Our priorities that you look at a few years ago to now are night and day. Really? So many big things that used to be big things don't matter anymore. When you have your health and your family and, your friends that rally around you, there's not a lot more in life that really matters.
You don't need it all.
You don't need
that.
It all.
Yeah, that is something that has been so relevant through these we've been at it for like 6-7 months, I guess now. And yeah, the little things that were important they are not important at all. And like, I'm forever grateful for people like you and, our friends, and just being healthy and happy is more important than anything. I swear to God, anything else. Sure. That is it.
So have you found any outlets or health for your mental health? Do you talk to a counselor or anything along those lines?
No, I don't talk to a counselor. I am really bad at saying everything's fine. Yes. Everything's fine. I don't need to talk about anything. I'm totally fine. We don't like, how's the weather? Let's keep it like surface chat.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody looks me in the eye and says, how are you doing? Like you did sort of from that text message, I was like, oh my God, I have so much going on. But no, I keep my feelings locked up, which is horrible because they come out at the most inopportune times.
The boiling point.
They do. Like you can't. It's like that song Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood. You can say everything's fine, but no, eventually you're not going to be able to do that. No, but what I do is I get up every morning at 5:00 and I check in with myself before I check in with the world. My house gets up really early. So 5:00, 5:00 is my time to get up before anybody else and, sit by the fire and just chill out before I can really be a nice part of the family and, be a decent human being. But That is my number one thing, is just getting up early and taking some time for myself. I'm currently saving for a Peloton bike, which I can't wait to get one day because I think that will be my favorite thing of all time. So I am currently saving for one of those, and I think that that will be my number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear you on a few levels, and you saying, the everything is fine. I think that, when we say we're fine all the time, and then when we really actually need that help, and when we would really actually like someone to just ask us, they don't anymore.
I know.
And it's kind of like the, calling wolf.
Well, yeah, totally. I get that.
Yeah, you keep saying no, and then you're like, oh, but actually, I really wish someone would just offer some help, or offer a hug, or offer a "How are you doing?"
I know, but this is the difference. There's a difference between, "Hey, Brett, how are you doing?" and "Hey, Brittany, how are you?" There's a difference, and nobody says, "How are you?" It's always, "How are you? Like, how's it going? How are the girl? Like, how are your kids? How's Ryan? How's Todd?" Like, it's not.
Let's get on to the rest of the conversation.
Nobody's really wanting to know, usually, like, how are you? And that is, it's so sad. It's so sad. And, sometimes it's not an appropriate time. Like, if I was at the grocery store, I wouldn't say, "Brittany, how are you really doing?" That's not a great time. And you'd say, "I'm great. I'm out of here." Like, don't do that.
I'll check with you later. Yeah.
Call me later. But oh my gosh, I remember in the summer, Ty's dad had come over for lunch. He knew obviously everything that was going on. And he's like, "I'll just come over. We'll go for lunch. Like, let's whatever." And Ty was getting the girls in the car, and I was walking back with Ian, and he goes, "How are you doing, Hale?" And I was like, oh my God, it's so sad. And I cried, but I had my sunglasses on, and I just tried to keep it together so Ty wouldn't see. And because I didn't want to be having these problems because he's going through these problems.
You're being strong for him.
I don't want to be having these problems. There's nothing going on with me. Like, I don't want to be feeling these things. I'm not the one having a life crisis. Like, I'm not. And, but just the way he said it, I just completely
meltdown.
Yeah, I did. But I was able to suck it in, suck her back, and get in the car, turn the air conditioning on, and drive with the music on. But he didn't let me forget it. God bless him. We had gone to Vancouver, like maybe the next week, like to go stay with them. And Ty and Julie were inside, and Ian and I were out by the fire, a couple glasses deep. And he goes, "So, like, how are you? Are you feeling better?" And I couldn't do it. Oh my gosh. It was so heartwarming, actually.
Yeah. Good. You need those people in your corner, right? You need to have those people in your life that you can really just be honest with. And they also help you check yourself.
Check yourself, but you cannot be honest with other people until you're honest with yourself.
100%.
Right? Like, I'm sure you can relate with holding everything in and being the one that is the rock. And no, there's nothing. I'm good. Like, what do you need? What do you need? How can I help you with your day? Instead of, it's easy to deflect.
And doesn't that change your journey going forward as you recognize that in yourself and what you need, and how much lighter you feel when you actually start to recognize those feelings come and go, and look for those people to talk to or write it down or whatever it may be, right? Just to be able to even acknowledge that it's there, and there's no such thing as perfect. And we all have things that we need to deal with, whether they look big or small, or it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
matter. It's our
own
reality.
No, like, what do you do to keep yourself going?
So through, I guess, over the last year and a half or so, I check in with the counselor. I really like her. Since COVID, to be totally honest, though, I haven't. And I've been starting to realize, like, I miss that.
Yeah.
Just, it's a level of accountability that she she doesn't break me down. It comes all from me speaking, but a level of accountability with myself, I think.
Wow. That must be such an experience
It
to
is. And
do
just,
that.
daily. I like my morning gratitude as well. And journaling when I'm bad at journaling often, but I definitely go in waves of it. And when I pull out the journal, I know that I'm needing it for sure.
That is huge. And I think a journal will be in my future whenever I
So
think
is
about
Ty
it.
seeing a counselor or psychologist or anyone?
Yeah, he's a counselor since July. So
awesome.
Since it first happened, that was one of the first things we did was like, let's find someone I didn't not want to be his person. Like I wanted him to talk to me, but I knew that after, 15 years total, but like the last, few years, obviously I wasn't enough for that. I wasn't giving him what he needed to hear, or I don't know. I did my best. And,
I think that counselors are great for, honestly, like for anyone and everyone. And Ryan and I have seen counselors for like our marriage, even when we're great, like just because it's like a great way to check in with each other on a level that you don't before. But I think that especially through a strong struggle of mental health and extra stress, we aren't supposed to do that job for our spouse.
No,
that is not what we're supposed to do. They should be talking to someone that has that expertise where they can then come to us and we can be there for everything else that they want and need from us.
Yes.
But to unload that stress is not our doing.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And once he started to talk to her, she's incredible. Like, honest to God, she's great. I mean, I've never talked to her, but Ty, she's doing something for Ty that is something that has needed to happen, truthfully, for a long time. And I think that there's a stigma around talking to somebody and like it's just this negative thing, like mental health is this dirty word of, oh my God, don't say that. And you throw a counselor in there and everybody's like, oh, throw the towel and you're done. Like, no, there's no help for you. Like, no.
Totally.
And it's so frustrating. And she's been so wonderful. And he's done a huge 180 and it's incredible. And it's, awesome. I am forever thankful for her. And I really hope to, I don't know, either meet her or send her a thank you card or something. I think that would be nice. But I think that that's a really important thing. And I mean, I'm proud of you for going. That's incredible.
Just having someone. And I'm here for you whenever you need to.
Thank you. No, but to have somebody that's not part of your family, unbiased. Totally. Somebody that has no, sides pre-drawn, it's totally someone that doesn't know you. And that is great. Like I would recommend it for anybody, but maybe one day I'll get there.
Well, I can talk for hours with you, but I have two more things to talk about here and now.
Yeah.
Okay. So recently I heard or read anyways from Rachel Hollis, who I follow along with. Mm-hmm. She noted that she does not agree that kids need to ever see their parents hurt and their parents struggle. So she does not agree that, the kids need to see you walk through hard times. Personally, myself, I completely disagree with this. And our situation and scenarios in our family, it was hard. Sienna dealt with some serious anxiety through the year also. But what that has taught us all is what she needs and how she can help herself going forward.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
I also completely disagree with that. There are certain things that in my adulthood that have happened that I'm like, well, this isn't normal. My mom and dad didn't have this happen. Mm-hmm. Well, they did. They just never let us see anything. And Ty has said, he's like, I wish that I knew that my dad had struggled sometimes. That would have made what I'm going through a lot easier to know that I'm not a freak, that I'm a normal human being. Mm. And that is something. And I think our parents' generation have this mentality because of their parents' generation where everything was behind closed doors. Like that is, you don't talk about your family business. You don't do this, you don't do that. And then so our parents mostly have that mentality because that's how they were raised. Mm-hmm. So we're breaking this mentality of like, no, be out in the open. Yeah. I mean, there's probably some things that
for
maybe
sure. There's thresholds of all of that.
Yes. But as a whole, for the girls to see, and Ty to be open with what he's going through, I think will benefit them for when they're older and they're dealing with things or their partners are dealing with things and they're not like, that's not normal. You're supposed to be the man. What is
life's
happening?
Not this perfect path.
No. And I
changes.
think exactly. And I think it's a really important job that our generation has been given to sort of break the stigma of, dads are super tough and work all the time and do all this. Moms stay home and make great frickin' pancakes. Like, no, I am so thrilled for my kids and, just having this like, holy shit flip this year of unsureness. And I'm sure they were feeling really like, what is happening? Why are we moving into Nanny and Kathy's house? Like, this is weird. If we weren't open with what our situation and what was happening and, this is weird, but like, it's going to be okay. Like, if we just kept it a secret, they'd be like effed right now. Like there would be no turning back.
To know like, okay, well, like daddy needs help and well, I do too. And like, to never be ashamed to ask for help when you need it.
I feel sad, but I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
We're heading into this, the hormonal changes of a preteen girl, which is going to be great, but it's already starting to happen. And I'll look over at her and she'll be just like sad out the window looking and I'll say, what's up? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I'm okay. And I'm like, what are you filming? Are you pretending you're in a Hillary Duff music video? Staring out in the rain? And she goes, who? I'm like, never mind. But
wrong generation.
Wrong. Okay. But no, just to be able to open up about our feelings with them. And so they, one of my biggest fears is screwing up my kids. Like I just think that feelings and this, because mental health is real. And
just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
It's so real. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel this. It's just a matter of finding your way out of it and not letting it suck you into an unhealthy situation.
100%. Well said.
Thank you.
And so let's finish up with a new journey that Ty's on. And I'm hoping you're going to be a guest for a little female interlude. But tell us about what Ty's new journey is that's kind of exciting.
Has turned this horrible situation around and made a platform. Basically, he is going to be or trying to be an advocate for men's mental health, just letting people know that it's normal and just getting out there and talking and starting the conversation. So it's not such a dirty word. And, the buddies that have reached out to him saying like, holy shit, like, yes, thank you. And the response he's had has been incredibly inspiring, but heartbreaking at the same time, because there's all these people that are just hiding and just accepting their life as what it is, and not knowing that there can be light at the end of the tunnel, or, they're just accepting their life for being, okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of him for starting the podcast, The Benevolent Bench, on Apple Podcasts and Facebook and Instagram. And it's just going to be, I think it's going to be huge, Brittany. I am so incredibly thrilled for the response that he's gotten so far.
I'm so excited to hear it. Listen to it.
Excited. Yeah, no, he did let me listen to his first episode, and it's really great. It is awesome. He's got a hot voice, like he totally does. But but also
15 years later, it's still working for you.
Yeah. But no, he really has hit a pocket that is untouched. And unfortunately, it's untouched for men's mental health, and really just being a buddy and really just being an advocate to let people know that, you're not alone. Let's talk about it. Let's see if there's like his topics every week or stuff that hopefully somebody will just relate to. And, he said, babe, if something like this was available for me last year, I think my life the last 6 months would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is so sad, but I'm so proud of him for just doing it and making a change.
So good.
Yeah.
That's what I said to Ryan, just even with our conversation today, with all the podcasts that I'm putting out there, as long as I can hit like one person to know that has like helped them today, you're not alone. You're not alone in mental health. You're not alone in any of the daily life. We're all here. We're all walking through it. But if we could all just be a little bit more honest with each other, then how less lonely would we all feel?
Yeah, you are so right about that. Just be honest with yourself and other people, and everybody will stop chasing this invisible situation that is not real anyway because it's on Instagram. If everybody's chasing that perfect picture, but the picture's not real, you're going to just freak out at the end.
Away.
Like you're not going to enjoy your life. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. It's the realization that I think a lot of people need to just have a better outlook on life and just enjoy their now instead of the future, and just
enjoy
today.
Your now. That's all we can do in life. That is all that is guaranteed is today. And if we all just kind of broke that down into our mini moments every day, what are we going to do today to make ourselves proud and happy and, live for today?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed today's raw and honest conversation with Hayley. We had a really nice time opening up to one another, getting to know each other on a different level, and being a bit of a pillar of support to one another. I hope that whatever you are walking through in life, or have walked through, or maybe in the future are walking through, you recognize that you are never alone. There's always someone there to help. Just ask. Whether it's depression, anxiety, loneliness, overwhelm, whatever it may be, you are not alone. Ask for help. Talk about it. And as a sidebar, Hayley nor I are medical professionals, nor are we trying to offer that medical support here. This is coming from a place of personal experience and opinion. Please reach out to your resources if you are looking for medical advice.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it. See you next week. You can find me on Instagram at MomSweatFamily.